Welcome to the Alamo. This is a special day, and we're glad that all of you have come to be with us. We're doing lots of things today, but we're celebrating really the Alamo, the great rich tradition and history that it is, and the great thing that it can become as we begin to really look at how we redo this area to be really respectful and reverent and tell the rich and total story of the Alamo in this era. So in doing this today, first off, we want to thank all the elected officials who are here today, and we'll mention them a little bit as we do the unveiling process. Otherwise, we'd be here for longer than we want to be in Texas heat. So I want to at this time introduce the person who really has put the impetus behind us to get this project done, and that's Phil Collins and his generosity of the gift of artifacts commemorating the Alamo, telling the story of the Alamo, which really kind of put the burr under the saddle of Texans and say, we need a new museum. We need a place we can do this. We need to have a reverent space, a place we can do this with dignity, and we need to tell the big story of the Alamo in a much bigger way than we can do in this small church. So I'm going to turn it over at this time to Phil, who will introduce George Nelson.
Why, thank you. What's going to happen here as soon as possible in the next couple of years, we hope, will be a reimagined and very different looking Alamo Plaza, and something very dignified and in keeping with the history of the place. What we're here for today specifically is to unveil these bronzes that you see covered up here, and a little bit of backstory with that. A few years ago now.
20.
How many?
More than 10.
Yeah.
Maybe 20.
Well, George came to me with an idea that, we knew each other anyway, but he came to me with an idea about getting an educational kind of museum exhibit, traveling museum exhibit, and to put some bronzes, some dioramas on the traveling museum that would give kids that can't come here an idea of what the place looked like way back. Anyway, the museum, the traveling museum came and went, but George persisted in the idea of the bronzes, and he's going to come up in a minute and correct everything I've said. So, but it's his tenacity that has seen these through to their finished state, and he's been doing this all his life, and they're all here, and we'll be unveiling one of them at least in a few minutes. But I would like you to give a big round of applause to the man who started this off, Mr. George Nelson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Phil. This is actually the end of 50 years of work. I came across some papers a while back that I had begun my reconstructions of this place in 1968, June of 1968. And so the idea is to try to present in the most easily accessible format the deep and complicated history of the Alamo for everybody, so that we can understand how long and colorful the history of this spot is. And so what I tried to do was create essentially bronze time machine so that anybody, children or people from around the world, can explore the Alamo through time to understand how it came to be like it is now. And so I would like to quickly end this as fast as I can, but there's many people I need to acknowledge. I can't acknowledge them all, and so I won't. Some of them are been dead for 200 years, but every artist and every map maker that did a drawing or a map, everybody who took photographs, I could not have done this without them. And I would like to acknowledge Curtis Tunnell, the ex-state archaeologist who was one of my bosses, Ann Fox, who is an archaeologist here I worked with. And the fact that being exposed to deep history and archaeology is what we need to understand is the Alamo has its own history, and we need to respect its history, and we need to try to be more concerned about how we treat this place, because this is one of the most unfortunately destroyed archaeological historical places in the United States. It's also one of the most important. So thank you very much for being here today, and let's unveil some bronzes. Thank you.
So here's the sequence. So we're going to put different people to help Phil and George unveil each one of these. So the first one is Commissioner Bush is going to come up, and this is the first one. So this is 1744, the Alamo. So we're going to pull that one back first. So now we're just going to keep moving down the sidewalk to the next one, and the next one is Congressman Hurd is going to help Phil and Commissioner Bush and George do 1785. Okay, there we have 1785, the Alamo.
Love you, Phil.
Hey, we're cousins.
Okay, this is Senator Nelson who's going to help us, and this one we're going to be doing 1793.
Yeah.
Y'all getting a theme of this? Yeah. So this one appropriately for the man chairing the master plan committee process, Gene Powell, joining us on 1836. There you go. Okay, Welcome Wilson is joining us. He chairs the Alamo Trust Inc. board, and that's about succession, a little longer. So this is 1836 to 1845.
Everybody smile.
So here we have 3 city council members who are joining us. The city has really been great partners in this project. We wouldn't have started if not for the city, and we won't get to the conclusion if not for our partnership with the city. So with city council and with George and Phil, we're going to do, this is 1861.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
So I think on this last one here, we're going to have Phil and George and the commissioner do this one again.
I need you to step back a little, sir.
1900.
Excuse me. I can have you step back, please. Sir, I can have you step back, please.
So we want to thank you all for coming today, and you can tell that obviously what we're doing with this placement is when people drive down Alamo Street or Houston Street, some people say they drive in front of the Alamo. What these begin to show people is they're driving over the Alamo. This is where the Alamo really was. This is the church of the Alamo, not the Alamo. So what George Nelson has shown in these, and what so many of us know, is our vision is to once again reclaim this as a space and show it so people understand what the Alamo really was, and they understand that it's right here. So thank you all for coming. It's a great day for Texas, a great day for the Alamo.
Thank you.